It's Kira and you're watching Polymer Clay TV, and today I'm going to show you how with a couple of simple techniques you can create something with this magical metallic effect. Let's get started. For the background, I've taken some souffle mocha clay and rolled it out to about a number 2, which is a medium thick setting on my pasta machine, and impressed it with 1/2 of the Zen Garden rubber stamp or texture sheet, which is, it comes in a set of 2. So this one is the one that actually presses the design into the clay. So what I'm going to do first is I've got my grunge set of COLORFUZE, and I'm going to take the black and gold. And what I'm going to do here is just get some grains on my finger and just lightly tap them around. Now, this gear is going to be going over the design, I think probably off-center just about here. So I'm going to concentrate mostly on this outer sort of crescent. And I haven't baked this yet, so it is going to stick. And I'm just looking for, that generally grungy application that you get from not being too careful. So I'm just going to go ahead and put this in for its first baking for half an hour while I work on the rest of the design. So I'm going to make the gear. And for that I decided to use the souffle color called Sage because it's closely matched to the sort of copper patina color that you get when copper ages. So I'm going to roll this out and press it with my Bouncing Bubbles texture sheet and cut out the gear. I chose this texture sheet because of its sort of mechanical look. So I just want to show you a trick that I use when I'm using our cutters, because you want to do even pressure, and of course this one has the hole that's going to cut out in the middle. So I like to take an acrylic block that's for stamping, put it over my cutter and press down evenly on the whole thing. And I find that that gives me a nice good cut. And I know that I've hit the middle part and the edges and everything is good. So with a cutter like this, where you've got lots of these type of shapes, you might want to grab a rubber tip tool. I find that these little guys are always good for a job like this. And really I just need to release one part of it so that I can ease out the rest. So now I've got my heavy metals and my grunge set, and I'm going to call this color like a platinum color from the heavy metals. And I'm going to use a paintbrush, soft little paintbrush, to dab this on to the gear. And again, the application's going to be sort of splotchy. I'm not going to just dump it on there. I'm going to splotch it on. And when I'm feeling satisfied with the amount of that one, I'm going to take this coppery color from the grunge set and add a little of this. Also splotchy. This one's got a little bit larger chunks. So just kind of dabbing it around, letting it pool in little areas. That sound you might hear in the background is the 3D printer making new cutters for the May Create Along box, which is a Polymer Clay subscription box, in case you didn't know that we had that. So I'm just playing around making this look however I want it. I'm going to push the extra powder up against the cutter because when it bakes it'll stick there, make kind of a little layer. right? And then for a final touch here, because I'm doing a patinaed look, I've got a different brush, which is a little thinner, and I'm going to use the green. But for this, I'm going to be more specific about where I put it. I'm going to put it along the lines of this particular texture stamp, and just kind of let it fall against the lines. And I'm not going to do it all over. I'm going to just kind of also, again, splotch it around. This is going to give it the effect of being aged and sort of eroded. Okay, so that's it. I'm going to put this in the oven in just a few minutes after I make the last part of this coin. So for something like this where you're going to do stamping and it involves a word, you might want to test it first, which is what I've done here, to make sure it's going to fit in the area where you want it to go. So I'm using template number 10 here, and the word evolve is what I'm using, and it does indeed fit in this little spot. So I'm just going to condition this clay and cut out my template area with an X-Acto blade on a tile and stamp my word. Everything is out from its first baking, and I have my oven set to 300 now for a very quick setting of the powders because I'm going to add a little more. So here's a little trick for you. This is Fun Tack, the stuff that you use to hang posters or whatever, and I'm going to use this to hold onto this piece while I add powder to it because I want to get it around the edges. And I'm going to use some ink to do this. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because I definitely want the word to stand out. I'm going to use the silver from the Heavy Metals set, and I put down a piece of paper so that I could do this by pouring. So basically I'm going to pour it over this nice wet pigment ink, and then I'm going to shake it off because the letters, of course, don't have any ink in them, so it should shake right out from inside those dry letters, like that. So now when I bake this time, I'll get a nice coating of this metallic powder, but I'll still be able to see my word. Here are the other two pieces. This came out gorgeous with the black flowing down into some of those cracks. So when I layer this, it's in the perfect position. And what I'm going to do here is a little bit of highlighting with some ink on the raised areas, just to give it more of that grungy look I'm looking for, but not to cover up my powder. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of copper to this piece, which came out really cool and patina looking. So I've got my Copperific set, which has a glittery copper, a dull copper, and a very mica infused copper, which is really bright. So I don't want that, either the glitter or the bright. I want the sort of dull copper. So again, I'm going to use an ink pad. And the color here is going to be Pearlescent Rust. Now all of these are going in the oven for 5 minutes just to set those inks and powders. Okay, check this out. They're fresh out of the oven at 300 for just 5 minutes, and it's beautiful and perfect. And now I'm going to show you how we're going to assemble this coin. So I've got some Sculpey clear liquid bakeable clay. Sorry. And I'm just going to do a very quick layering here and get them all stuck together. They're still hot, so I'm going to use my blade to pick up and move things around, just because I want to move fast and pop them right back in the oven. So I'm just going to put a small amount of this around this circle where I want this gear to lay on here, like so. And then this word is going to go in this area. So I'll put some more, let's see, where do I want it to go? I don't want it to cover up my best part of the gear, so I might turn this a little bit like that. All right, so I want it to go in this general area, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to just pop these back into my 300-degree oven for 15 minutes because there's not a lot of liquid clay going on there. And that's what it says on the bottle. It takes 15 to 30 minutes. So that's it. I'll be back to show you the finished coin. And here's my finished coin. So you can see with a couple of different easy techniques, using the COLORFUZE powders can create a really stunning result. I hope you enjoyed this, and you'll join us next time on Polymer Clay TV.